Hello everyone and welcome to another Stately live stream. This is our office hours and this is where us, the team at Stately, walk you through everything that we've been updating to Stately and to XState as well. I'm sorry, Mohammed, we were a little slow to start. Mohammed said, is the stream happening? It is. It was on me. Sorry, I was trying to get my camera working. Delayed us all a little bit. Sometimes these things just don't work. So starting as we do every week, we're going to introduce you to who is here today. I'm Laura and I do advocacy, education, bunch of stuff for Stately. David, who are you?
Hey, I'm David, founder at Stately. You can see right here. Creator of XState. I'm still getting used to where the points with this camera because it's all reversed and everything. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I didn't give myself a label today. Maybe I should have done. Anders, I can see your job title from what you've got written there, but would you like to read it out yourself?
I'd like to read it out. And I can read my name as well. My name is Anders. I live in beautiful Denmark, and I'm a product engineer here at Stately.
And Nick.
I'm Nick, and my label says that I am product design.
You are product design.
And good.
Everyone wears so many hats here.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Yeah, everyone does a lot of different things for sure. We thought we would start off by, I'm going to show you what me and Anders have been working on this week, or one of the many things I should say that Anders has been working on. I can find, I've got too many windows open, as is always the way. Where is the other one I had ready? Oh, no, got to open a new one. Thanks, Chrome. I'm sure it's Chrome's fault.
It's always Chrome's fault.
Here we go. Zoom that in a touch. Let me share it with the rest of you. There we go. Right, that's quite intensely zoomed in. But it means you'll be able to see it really well. Hopefully this is the right size. So what we have now is if you go to state.new, if you are someone who hasn't used Stately before, or if you haven't, I think the case is if you haven't saved a project before, then you will see this wonderful new modal, which you can also access by going to help and learn Stately. And this is why I've zoomed in so intensely. So this is our new little Learn Stately guidance modal, I guess I'm calling it. And this is kind of Inception, the editor within the editor. It's a video that's introducing you to the basic concepts inside of Stately's editor, how to do a lot of the basic tasks, giving you a little guided tour of the starter machine as well. And we have a video that shows you how to design a flow, and also a video that shows you how to simulate your machine and export it. And the idea behind this is we just want to make it as easy for people as possible to get started with state machines, even if they've never used them before, and learn how to use all of the basic concepts. It's not completely comprehensive because it is just, I think, about 7.5 minutes. So it will take very little of your time, but it will walk you through all of the basics. So we really hope that this helps you and helps any teammates you're trying to get on board as well to learn how to use Stately. What we've also got is here, it says here, find the quick tutorials for these features in the tutorials. So here in the tutorials, which you get to by the little help button, the blue question mark button in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Stately tutorials. Now, we did have these before, but they have been completely refreshed and updated. These actually now remind you of the concepts that you might have learned in the videos. So it backs those up. So if you watch the video and you're like, oh, I can't remember how I might create a new state. Can I do it by double clicking anywhere on the canvas? It's got all of the information that you need in here. So we have lots of little explanations and also very quick guides on how to get started. These are not meant to be a replacement for the docs, but they're kind of just a little quick start for all of the basic things you might need to refer to for all of the most common uses of your state machines. And you can, of course, go back to that modal in the videos from the tutorials here as well. So you can press that button And you can also get back to them from Learn Stately down here as well. So even if you have been using the studio for a very long time, you can watch those videos from any of those locations. And so that is our new little Learn Stately bit of guidance. And please let us know what you think about it as well. I'd appreciate any feedback. We'll be trying to update them as we add new features as well.
Yeah, and even though the videos are short, Laura goes through a lot. Like, you're going to learn a lot in those 7 minutes. They're really great.
Yeah, I was just going to mention Laura really goes the extra mile. There's even captions on the videos. Like, they're so great and detailed.
Thank you. Of course, there's captions. Like accessibility first in all the things. Cedric says, "Hi guys, I just want to mention all tutorials and videos done with Fuzzer, Gavin about backend, Markdown editor, graphical app are just super cool. Thanks a lot." I agree. I literally just before this stream started finished watching the workflow stream that David and Gavin did yesterday, and I would really recommend it. It'll be on this anywhere you're watching this video, you'll be able to see it from yesterday, and it's such a great primer as to why you might want to use just distracted me with that why you might want to use state machines for workflows, and you've got really great visual examples in there, and basically all of the great knowledge that David and Gavin both have about workflows is like they just give it all to you. It's great. It's a really good introduction, and it's a nice taster of what's to come for workflows and Stately. So I would really recommend that one. But there's lots you can, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel or if you follow us on LinkedIn, you'll be able to get updates whenever those videos are going live, and always watch them back whenever you like. Jared said, "I just went through that video last night. It really helped getting a good understanding of Stately and state machines."
That's
Fantastic.
great.
That's great news.
Yeah, we'll be sure to have more videos like that then. They're really fun to do. I was hoping that, I was wondering how much value people would get out of them, but it seems like it does bring a lot of value. So yeah, give me any excuse to stream. It's fun.
It was like a fireside chat, I think. It was just a really nice, because it was a discussion between two knowledgeable people, and but with visual bonuses. So I think it worked really well. We didn't even have that on our agenda for the office hours today. Oh, I was also going to show you something else. Did I close that window now? No, I didn't. Great. So what I also wanted to show you is that now our annotations support Markdown. So if I have that's not an annotation, that's a state. Remember how to add them. So now if I want to say add a link or add some bold text, that now renders as Markdown, which is really nice. If you're used to writing your descriptions for states in Markdown, you'll be used to doing that. And so it's nice that annotations are no longer just plain text. A bonus to this is that when you start the starter machine, so if you go to state.new or if you start a new project, you'll be used to seeing this starter machine here. And this description here of all of the concepts is now itself an annotation. Why is that relevant, you ask? Well, it's because if you get to the starter machine or a new project and you're like, right, I'm done, I've learned these concepts, I want to get rid of everything in here, you can now just drag everything and delete. It was a little bit harder to do that when there was a description on the machine root as well. So now it's an annotation. It's really easy to get that done.
Yeah, that's my fault for putting it in the description.
No, you did it for a very good reason. And that was because we could have nice things like lists and stuff like that. Because of Markdown, we could have all of those like links to the docs and stuff like that. We couldn't previously have that in annotations. So as soon as the annotations got Markdown support, that gave us the means to do it. I won't have you blaming yourself for that. Now, Fuzzer said Command, Control, and A for select all is easier. Yes, it's less visible in a stream, unfortunately, because I don't have a magic thing that shows my keyboard shortcuts. The other thing that I wanted to show you, now I'm going to have to save this machine brief because otherwise I'm not going to be able to see this. So I'm going to save this machine, new machine name to, it doesn't matter what project it is. Oh, I know what, I've hit a funky bug. It's sometimes that happens when I try to mess with some very old projects. So I wouldn't worry about that being something that's common. I would just save it in here.
And we'll get that fixed very soon.
Oh, yeah. It's usually just my quirky old machines where it happens. Anyway, so now what you can do is this very top left corner, you see here we've got the name of the project up here, and the name of my project itself is up here. It's called drafts. Previously, this wasn't editable. Now it is. So now if I want to rename my project, I can do so from the header. So I can call it my cool drafts folder, which is essentially what I use this project for. And that is successfully updated. So it's just a nice little detail that's been added to help you get around quicker without having to open up any panels.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome.
Enough of my chaotic demos. David, would you like to share some of the cool features that you've been working on recently? I'm thinking of the guarded transitions.
Yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and, well, first of all, find the screen that I'm at. It should be somewhere here, or I'll just do the window. Okay. I'll just do the window and we'll put that on the stream. So yeah, we made some modifications to the way that guarded transitions are handled. And you could see I'm using, just some colors over here. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and hide the UI and also hide the grid just so that this is nice and zen.
Very zen.
Yeah, you see, it's literally nothing except this here, this on the corner, and this box, which I've been talking about with Nick. We have some ideas for not getting rid of this, but just being able to view the machine at different levels so that you don't need to see this big box here. Anyway, so this is a simple state machine. When I'm sleeping and the alarm goes off, I'm awake, but we know that in real life, it doesn't usually happen that way. So now you could see, and hopefully you could see that. Otherwise, I'll just zoom in a bit and zoom out in my machine. That we have two options over here. You could add a guard or you could add a transition. Now, if you're used to the behavior before where basically when you add a transition, it adds a guard by default and then another branch, I guess we'll call it a branch, then that's going to work just as you expect and you have a default new guard. Otherwise, if you just want to add a guard, you could click guard and it adds a guard over there. So let's say I add a guard like the alarm, if if it is too quiet, like it happened this morning, then I'm actually going to stay sleeping, which is a problem. And now I could add a transition. You see the guard is gone because I already have a guard here. So I'm just going to click transition. So else, if I'm too tired, then I'll also stay sleeping. And again, also a problem. But otherwise, I could actually wake up finally. Now, let's say that we see clearly here that the order of transitions that's going to happen is first it's going to check if the alarm is too quiet. And then it's going to check if I'm too tired. And then otherwise, it's just going to make me go awake. Now, let's say that you actually want to switch the order of these. You can't just do this. Unfortunately, you see it still says 2, 1, and 3. So now we've done some major refactors on the way that we handle the logic for these transitions. So I could just right-click this, reorder guard, and move up. And so this is moving it up in priority. So instead of number 2, you're going to see the number change. It's actually going to be number 1. And then I could rearrange these. And now we first check if I'm too tired. And then if it's too quiet, otherwise we go awake. Or I could just move that back down. So this is about reordering. It's not necessarily about moving the position. That's something you still have to manually do, or rather we give you the freedom to move those positions anywhere. But yeah, you could now finally reorder guards.
Fabulous. Makes it a lot easier. Previously, I guess you'd probably be deleting them, re-adding them in order to get them in the correct order.
Oh yeah,
that's really simplified the
frustrating.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and another thing, if you could show us on here, it's a tiny change, but it's been so useful. We now have a little XState icon on our built-in actions, don't we?
Oh yeah. So let's see if so if too tired, I'm also going to add an action over here. And, we could, of course, just hit snooze or something. But let's say that I have a send service and I actually want to, just send an event to somewhere specific to alarm. I'm going to send the snooze. So I'm being more specific with my event. So now to send snooze to alarm. And also, it's going to show this really nice X icon. And so I could add another action, go back to sleep. And now you could see that we have a very clear representation of what is an XState specific action or a built-in action and what is a custom action that I defined.
Yeah, I love, I think in the last office hours, we demoed that we now have those icons, which actually at a glance make it very easy to distinguish between actions and actors, because they themselves have different icons. Having this as well, it's just makes it so easy to just know at a glance what's going on. Great bit of design there. Yeah. Going back to the reordering of the guards, Cedric says, "Oh, super! This happened to me super often because I'm bad to find the final idea in one shoot." This is the point of, this is why doing drag and drop modeling is so great, because none of us come up with the perfect machine in the first go. Like, part of the point of visualizing it is that it makes it easy for you to see where things aren't right and where you want to change them. So we all want to be able to reorder guards for sure. And it's not a sign of weakness. Another thing that we wanted to mention that we have released is that if you are a pro user, now your personal projects will also be private by default. Now, previously, this was all team projects are private by default, but now all of your personal projects will be as well. Of course, you can go and change them so that they're unlisted or public if you so wish, but they'll be private by default. So if you're just making a new project, you don't have to think too much about it. It's got the most restrictive setting first. Another thing that we had on there that Anders and I discussed and added this week was we were going through adding the modal for the guidance for learning stately, and we realized, oh, we've got another modal. If you go to state.new in Safari, and we wouldn't want to have an annoying clash of lots of different modals, but also that modal in Safari used to warn you that, oh, Stately is in beta in Safari, it might not work very well. Whereas we don't need that anymore, because the studio actually works really well in Safari now. And part of that is down to the performance improvements that Nick has had his head down working on for the last couple of weeks since the last big release. So thanks to those improvements. And I think a lot of the development over sort of the last couple of months, it's slowly got better and better and less buggy. And I've been using it in Safari for ages, and I find that it works really well. So it's something you might not have noticed, but if you were put off trying to use Stately in Safari, go for it. This is some interesting feedback from Cedric. He said, in the same idea, is it possible to move a state inside another easily? I would say, referring back to what Fazad said earlier, the easiest way is probably to select those states and copy and paste them inside. What do the rest of you reckon?
So Farzad did experiments with a way to, using a modifier key, drag a state into another state. And I think that that's something that we still want to do in the future, just because the whole idea is that we really want this to be a spatial interface where you have the states and the events as, just tangible things. And so in real life, you can imagine just picking something up and placing it somewhere else. And so we really want that same feeling in the editor. So we have been thinking about that, but yeah, you could just cut and paste if you wanted to.
Yeah, so what you can do now is if you have a state like this, I guess you have these sort of child states, you can select them and you can copy them. I'm doing Command C right now, even though you can't tell. And then I select another state and I do Command V, and that has pasted them in as child states. So that is a very easy way to, if you were reparenting them, you'd probably delete the previous version. Or if you just wanted to copy them across, you could do it that way too.
Yeah, Farzad said we have reparenting work in progress, but we are sleeping on it to nail the right keyboard shortcuts at scale. And yes, we do want to think about keyboard shortcuts more generally too, because we want you to have a visual interface for creating your machines, but also we want it to be as fast as possible. And as developers, keyboards are usually our main medium. So, having nice keyboard shortcuts is just going to make it really fast to create these state machines.
Yeah, they're going to take a bit of thought, which is why we need to kind of plan them all at once, because we don't want to add something and then realize that we need to change a keyboard shortcut that we've previously determined. But that's actually a good point to mention. If things like keyboard shortcuts are really important to you, and if you have any suggestions for the ones that you like, we'd really appreciate your feedback at feedback.stately.ai. There you can request features, you can upvote on existing features, you can suggest what your use cases might be for some of those feature requests and how you'd use it. That really helps us understand like a little bit more about why we need to design things in that way. If everyone has opinions, for sure, but it is really useful to know the use cases behind those opinions. Now, next up, so we thought these are all things that we've already got in Stately. You can already use all of the things that we've just demoed today. But we thought we would, get you aboard the GitHub sync train, I think that's what Anders said. So we want to demo some exciting things that we have coming up, and it is so exciting. So Anders, shall I share your screen?
Let's try.
There we go.
So we're going to share like a very early preview of the feature we're working on. And right now, if you go to Stately AI and you're a pro user, you can import from GitHub. You can get that initial project set up going based on any repository you might have. But obviously, like going in that one direction, just doing an initial import is not sufficient. So what we're working on is something that we're calling Connect GitHub repo, at least while it's in beta. And I'll just show you a quick demo of that. So what I have here inside VS Code is just a very simple repository with a few machines in it. And let's open this one called Friday machine. We can see it just says Friday and it says work, buy pizza, eat. So
I hope you have enough for everyone.
Yeah, there's only one slice. I hope it's gonna be a big slice. So what I did now, I'm going back into the studio. I'm trying to connect a repo so I can search through all the repositories I have access to. And this one is called a simple repo. So I just search for simple here, and this is the one. Then what happens now is it'll iterate all the branches, and I select a branch I want to start connecting from. In this case, the main branch is the one I'm after. And now what you'll see is something that's kind of resembling, like it's the folder structure of that entire repository. So now you need to say, okay, where do my machines live? I mean, you can click off everything if you want, but at least from the get-go, I think we suggest like picking the folder where you have the machines in, or single files. So for this demo, we're just going to pick that one test machine file, and we're going to hit connect repo. We hide the file tree over here. So now it's importing everything from that repository into the studio, and you can see it's looking the same. We have VS Code on the left, we have the studio on the right. But now in the studio, we have colors and stuff we don't have inside VS Code yet. So now it's a bit nicer looking over here. But what happens now, like we have a programmer, another programmer than me that updates this machine. And after eating, what do we want to do then?
Go to bed.
We want to relax. Watch a movie or something. Let's add in some popcorn. Let's make it look nice. Okay, so some edits has been happening. I'm going to save that file. I will do a commit. Watch the movie. I'm going to sync those changes. Those are synced. Then the next time I come into the studio, I'm just going to refresh here to show this is me coming back to the studio. Then what happens is that we'll fetch the latest updates from GitHub. And you can see now this watch your movie state has been added.
That's so cool.
And we're trying our best to kind of persist colors that you've already been working on, even though they're not actually inside the code. So it's it just looks really cool. And up under the details, you can there's a backlink to GitHub, so you can see this machine at the very specific commit it was added. You can see the code is the exact thing here. And what's cooler is, since we updated it, you can go into versions and you can see this is how the machine looked before. And if you go in on the details panel, you click back to GitHub, that's the exact state the machine was in at that point.
Oh, nice.
So
this is so cool. Question, when you selected the files that you chose from the repo, does that mean that you're only syncing those specific files from the repo?
Yes, all directories. I mean, you can select as many directories as you want, and you can add and delete machines from those. Or you can add and delete machines inside single files even. We support multiple machines per file.
That's great, because that way you have a bit of control over, you might not want to be syncing everything that you're doing if someone else is working on it and they're not using the studio, or they don't want you messing with it.
And we don't,
Fuzzer says, does the studio push a new commit to the GitHub repo when you create a new version in the studio?
So pushing back to GitHub is still something we're working on, and it's not far enough ahead that I can show it here. But the idea will be like you do something in the studio, so we keep saving it. So every time you open the studio, you always have the latest version you've been working on. And at some point, you want to commit those changes back into code. So there's going to be a way to say, I'm going to commit now to like either do a commit or open a pull request directly from inside the studio.
That's going to be so cool. I can see that this is going to be the feature that gets us as a team using Stately even more, because at the moment, like, it's great to be able to examine all of our machines that we have inside of like looking at what we've got from our studio repo. We've got loads of machines. It's really nice to be able to open them up and look at them and understand them. But any changes you make, if you want to pull them back in, you do have to export the code. So I think even for us as a team, it will make it even easier for us to collaborate inside of it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. It is like solving that disconnect where, like, how does the extension work together with the studio?
And that's a bigger problem we're going to be solving too. If you use the VS Code extension, you might notice that it looks a little bit different than the studio. And that's because, it was built with offline supports, and it sort of lags behind the web version of the studio. But we are going to be changing that. We're both going to be making it offline capable rather than offline first, but also tied to features like in Stately Studio. So like those cloud features, being able to collaborate with your team, etc. And so that's going to be coming, within probably by the end of the year.
Great. Cedric asks, do you think it's possible to use it with Azure DevOps?
I want to say yes, but we are building it for GitHub first. But if we get enough requests for it, it's definitely something we'll consider.
So that is the time that I say feedback.stately.ai if you want to request it.
Yeah, and also speaking of DevOps, the way that Honors has built this right now is that when you go back to the studio, it's going to it doesn't eagerly do this, but it just like once you open up that project, it's going to say, oh, let me check GitHub for the latest changes. So there's no explicit, I just pushed, please update on Stately. However, that's something that we could easily add in as part of a CLI or as part of a CI/CD flow.
Cedric also asks a side question. Do you have news about the way to display machines in pull requests? Well, I suppose yes and no, because, well, I guess yes and yes. We are intending on getting to that point, but we do actually have a feature that's fairly new into the studio that means that you can display machines in pull requests if you like them in Mermaid. Because, of course, one of the restrictions of being able to display visualizations is that GitHub doesn't actually support Stately yet. But you can export, if you go to the code tab, you can export your machine in Mermaid, which is a format that's supported by GitHub if you code fence it in your PR. So that's a pretty cool way of doing it.
And we also have plans to make our image generation a lot faster so that it's going to be better for integration with pull requests.
Yeah, the images are really nice. I like using those a lot, and I use them all over the docs. So it's a really cool thing to do. So once we've got those going a bit faster, that would be great. Cedric says, David and Gavin working at Microsoft +2 for Azure DevOps. Well, it's either you're really for it or really against it.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean we like it, just that we work with it.
So anyone have any other questions you want to ask us? You know that you can ask us live questions in YouTube or on Twitch as well, I do believe. If you have anything that you want us to show in upcoming office hours, you know, you can also join our Discord, which is at discord.gg/XState, or you can just post any message to us on any of the social media platforms. We're pretty much Stately or Stately AI on all of them. And we will be able to pull in your questions to ask next time as well. Team, did anyone else have anything you wanted to share? I know we've covered a huge amount today.
Yeah, so me, Gavin, and Jenny will be at React Rally next week. I'm wearing a React Rally shirt, actually.
Very nice.
Just to show. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about React and also, just talking Stately in general. Please find me, have a conversation with me. Maybe you'll get some Stately swag, and I hope to see you there.
And what will you be speaking about there?
It's called the talk. It's sort of a funny talk. It's called Use What. And so last year I talked about the various foot guns with use effects. So I'm basically going to do that with the rest of the React hooks. But also the main message of use effects last year was basically like just getting the right mental model, and hence the mental model is more akin to state machines, where you should execute one-off effects in transitions and ongoing effects. That's what use effect is for. And so I'm just going to be talking about the mental model to for your entire React app, which is basically thinking about both your app logic and the user first. Like, what do they experience, rather than focusing on very specific technologies and hooks and am I using this the right way, etc. Like the first and foremost problem to solve is just, solving problems for your users.
And I think sorry,
I'll
continue.
I'll try to rope in hooks into that. It's still half baked, but we'll see what happens.
Or if that sounds like something you would like to watch, I'm sure that we're all going to enjoy it. I would recommend, if you can't make it to, where is it? It's in
Salt Lake City.
So if you can't make it there, I believe that React Rally are also doing live streaming tickets, so you can watch it from wherever you are in the world. Cedric says it's time for a flight to Dubai for vacations for me. Thanks, guys. It's always nice to see your videos.
All right.
It's always nice to see you here, Cedric. We appreciate everyone who comes live to the live streams. It's nice to know there are folks out there, and it's really great to have your questions. It helps us know what we will need to talk about. So I think, anything else that we wanted to add before I wrap up?
Yeah, I thought of one other thing. I believe it just got released today or yesterday. It's a tiny detail, but now whenever you're looking at a machine that you can't edit, like if you were sent a link let's say, but you don't have edit privileges. Now the selection box is going to be a different color than whenever you're able to edit it. So normally the selection box is blue, like whenever you like select a state or select a transition or action. But now whenever you can't make changes to it, the selection box will be green, just like a small indication that something's different, you know, like I'm actually in a different mode right now. Small thing, but we just added that.
Fabulous. So go try that out now by, I guess, sharing, using the share URL to generate a link and then opening it yourself in an incognito window. And that is how you can test it.
I'm trying to find a quick example for this. I could put it up on the screen.
Oh, I'll share.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I think I have it open. Okay, yeah, so basically if we select a state, you can see how it is green.
Very green.
Basically what we have there.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And yeah, we've done a lot of work over the past month on performance also, and as Laura mentioned earlier, but I just want to note, like, it should be working a lot better now, but if you do find significant issues, do let us know and look into it. There's still a lot more that we could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have any big machines are obviously where performance improvements are most necessary. If you have any big machines that you want to share with us so that we can test out future improvements as well, please do. I mean, if you have any machines you want to share with us, we just love to see your machines. It's great to see how you're using it.
We'll even show it on the screen if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, have our own little like demo of other people's machines. I love it. I love just going through all of the machines the team have made while they've been working on the studio. I find I learn a lot from that. And hopefully soon we'll actually be sharing those publicly. I've been sort of tidying up the layout to make them really nice and readable and adding colors and other cool things that you can do to help draw attention to distinct parts of the state chart. And we'll be able to share those with all of you. I think it should be a really useful tool for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mohammed says, thanks. Everything is coming together really nicely. GitHub syncing will be amazing. It absolutely will be.
Yeah.
So I suppose on that note, we should wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this week. We should probably be back with you in 2 or 3 weeks' time. I just say that as I realize, am I here in 2 or 3 weeks? Fridays? We'll see. We will be back soon. That's what we promise, at least. And you'll know that we are continually releasing new features for you. So make sure that you say subscribe to our various channels so that you can be notified of when we're doing new live streams. If you follow us on any of the social platforms, we'll remind you about those as well. And you can always watch back any of the live streams afterwards. They're on YouTube, they're on LinkedIn. If you can find the specific tweets, they're on Twitter. Oh, is it even called Twitter anymore? I don't care enough. So
I'm going to call Twitter till the day I leave.
Jared says it would be nice to have featured machines in the discovery section. Oh yeah, that's something we've talked about a lot in the past, like curated machines. Yeah, that's a really cool idea. And maybe we'll even highlight some in our blog, particular machines for particular uses. I think that would be cool. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you very soon. Goodbye.
All right. See you all.